high school. I graduated with a bachelor's in engineering, retired a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Navy.
And that is from USS Arizona. Aloha from Hawaii. Welcome back, you beautiful people, to the wonderful island of Oahu. A few weeks ago, something magical happened. My cousin Courtney, who is serving right now in the United States Navy, came into port. Look, it's Courtney. She exists. Now, I haven't seen Courtney in a couple years, but we're really close. I have spent a couple of summers when we were growing up visiting with my cousin, my aunt and uncle, which was pretty amazing considering, I grew up in a military family where we were never close to family. So when I found out that Courtney was coming into port, I dropped everything, all and everything, to go and spend some time with Courtney. And she promised the girls a tour of her ship, which was epic. The girls they're so young that they don't appreciate how special that was. But first, we had to have some shenanigans over at Tiki's over on Waikiki Beach. So before walking into this restaurant, or pretty much any restaurant, I have a little powwow with the girls where we go over some basic expectations. Use a napkin, please use your silverware, don't yell, please be respectful, listen, excuse me, all those wonderful things that you really hope that your growing daughters aspire to. Even as much as telling them that please just act a little bit civilized, or at least pretend to be civilized before we walk into this restaurant, right? My children have a reputation of embarrassing me, and I think most parents will probably agree to that. And immediately upon walking in, we're not even yet seated at our table with a little skirt.
And you poked him in the butt. You did too.
Why did you poke him in the butt?
And I'm taking video of the place, and I see Alex sticking her hand up his statue's skirt.
Aloha! Hey, you made it! Hey!
This is me this morning after eating flaming hot Cheetos.
Oh my god.
And the girls were well behaved from there, and we enjoyed a wonderful dinner with Courtney, catching up on everything. The next day, we decided we headed out, and we had a bit of luck. Courtney had some time at the end of her day that she was able to give us a tour of the ship. And that is amazing. I'm not sure if Alex or Haley are going to remember this, but for John and I, the smell alone of a Navy ship brings back a lot of memories from our childhood. For both of us come from a multiple generational military family. Both of our grandparents served in the Navy, both of our fathers are retired Navy, and many of our cousins and uncles also served.
It's okay. Yeah, we'll catch you. On my mother's side, my grandfather served in World War II in Army intelligence while in England. And on my dad's side, my grandfather lied about his age and joined the Navy at 15, first getting denied in Memphis, and then crossing the state into Alabama while he finally got accepted into the Navy after never attending high school.
You have to understand, this is a different time. I don't think he even graduated 8th grade. But he was able to enlist, and he served on a U-boat right at the end of World War II. And over time, went from that humble beginnings to somehow swindling himself into university in Washington, graduating, I think, with a major in engineering. I'm sure my grandmother will correct me. And then went from enlisted to officer and retired lieutenant colonel in, I think, the Vietnam War. Right? This man was a force to be reckoned with. That's who my grandfather was. And my dad also, right? Like, retired Navy, retired command master chief, and then spent another career working for Lockheed Martin and Bath Iron Works up in Maine. Like, you know, with that kind of heritage, there's a sense of you should serve. Even though that's not what our dads or our moms probably wanted for us at all. Like, they probably definitely didn't want us. And I can say for a certain that John's family definitely did not want him enlisting into the Marine Corps when he did. What you up to? And where are you packing, or where are you off to this time? But someone has to serve.
That said, some of you have asked me, and yes, I did serve a long time ago. But I never talk about it because I never did anything or went anywhere. I am not a veteran. But I can say I served back during a time when the Army still shined its shoes every night. And did you see that? Those are called payphones back there. And yes, if you're wondering about my eye, well, all I can say is that with certainty and personal experience and knowledge, the Army did have higher standards 20 years ago.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours. Their refusal to do so will result in military conflict.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations.
So nearly 3 weeks after this war began, U.S. forces...
And it was a very different army. John, though, had a very different experience. John is a veteran.
When John graduated high school, he first went to college, but then eventually decided that he preferred to join the Marine Corps. And I have to say, John did more in 4 years in the Marine Corps than many others have done their entire career. He was deployed to Kuwait when it was still desert. He completed an anti-piracy tour off the coast of Somalia, and then was deployed to Afghanistan in 2008.
Maybe someday John will share his stories with you, but not today. I have a lot to add with this wall, but John actually hates this wall. But I like to tell him this wall isn't for him, it is for our girls. It's to show them why they have sacrificed so much of their time with their father.
Is Daddy gonna be home tonight?
No. John and I have been married for 14 years now. We have been best friends for 28 years. So we've been doing this for a while. We know a little bit about this lifestyle, but we have also spent 10 years in civilian life. 10 years after John got out of the Marine Corps, we decided that the best thing was to get back in. This time was in the Army, and I have to say, John loves what he does. There's no denying that. John's sacrifice, like I said the only sacrifice in this family, right? The entire military family sacrifices for this career. And not to say that there are civilian jobs that aren't difficult or demanding, especially on the family, but I think those who have served in the military will understand what I'm trying to say. You know, it's not just the service member who has to leave home and go through all these challenges. It's also the child, the children, and the spouse. Definitely a thankless job. Who works harder, mom or dad?
Dad.
Both.
Dad. You have work and Dad has work. Daddy.
Just as challenging and difficult as it is for the soldiers. And while you may not be able to agree on every war our country has called our family to face, we certainly don't. We can agree that someone has to do it. Someone has to be ready to answer the call, to hold the watch, and pray our actions are worthy of all of those who have come before us.
And that is from the USS Arizona.
We are supposed to be the Arizona Reborn, and so this is a phoenix rising from the ashes for the Arizona. And we always have 1941, so like on the covers they all say 1941.
I was wondering what that was.
For Pearl Harbor.
I saw it.
And then it will have
Yes.
the Medal of Honor, and then Athena, goddess of war. So, the wife petitioned Congress, we are the only ship in the fleet legally authorized to fly the Jolly Roger.
That's
The
awesome.
Jolly Roger is our battle flag, and we have a giant one. So if you ever
Wow.
see a destroyer
That's awesome.
flying a Jolly Roger, and we have it on everything.
Wow.
That's why. Is this represents Admiral Kidd. With Veterans Day approaching, I decided to take the girls to the USS Missouri. Now, we actually did the Arizona last winter. I did not put it into one of our vlogs just because, just out of respect, you know. But the Missouri is more of an actual floating museum, and I'm hoping that the girls are old enough to really start to appreciate that. I still think that they're not quite grasping, and maybe they won't even until they're in high school or maybe older, but it was significant enough for me. I really enjoyed it. And for those of you who don't know, the USS Missouri is famous because it's the ship where the Japanese came and actually signed their surrender at the end of World War II. She saw a lot of action during World War II out in the Pacific, as well as the fact that she actually got recommissioned for the first Gulf War and was the first ship to fire upon Kuwait, which is crazy. And to think of how old the ship is and the technology and firepower out of that ship is just crazy to think about. So if you are in Hawaii, I do highly recommend that tour. We took the generic tour and we still got a personal guide. We were there first in the morning, so our tour guide was just one-on-one. We were able to walk with her, and it was really worth it. Trust me.
That's Kuwait. The stars were the targets, and this turret alone fired 289 rounds, which is quite a lot. So we fired in the Gulf War, particularly Desert Storm. She fired just under 800 rounds.
Home, I decided to swing by my grandparents' old house. Now, my grandparents were once stationed here towards the end of my grandfather's career in Pearl Harbor back in the late 60s, early 70s. And my grandparents owned this house back when it was pretty much brand new. I think I have photos of it. I'll try to find it. If not, I bring this up because, you know, it's a part of our heritage. And so it makes being here, being stationed here, even more magical for John and I. And I hope eventually the girls will understand that. Either way, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. I hope you have a wonderful time. Hopefully a 3-day weekend. Most of you will not. Mahalo for watching, and we'll see you out there next week. This is the coolest coin ever.